come together in our virtual meditation room. Protected by the presence of the Buddha, protected by the Dalai Lama, by Lama Zopa. And yeah, let's appreciate that we all come together with the intention of bodhicitta to wake up for the benefit of all. And that makes this meeting very beautiful. And I invite you to become aware of your body, of how you feel, having a bit of a sense to step into a sacred temple, a sacred room. And well, some of you know each other, but we can connect on a deeper level as human beings with feelings. So even if you don't know our names or our stories, there is something which we share. And I invite you to connect on that level with participants. We all long for being loved, and we long to share love. And we all struggle. And of course, it would be nice to be physically in New York together. But on the other hand, it's also beautiful that we connect with this field of our meeting in our homes, because that's the place where we wake up. That's our Bodhi tree. So in a way, it's good to deconstruct this border we often create between the retreat center or the center and our home. So it's beautiful to have this opportunity to connect with the Sangha, to connect with the Dharma, connect with the Dalai Lama and the Buddha in our homes. Spreading this vast area of the United States and Africa and Europe. It's quite a big space where we mingle, where we meet. And the topic of today and tomorrow and another Sunday is exploring different ways to relate to fear. And when I say fear here, I don't mean the healthy fear which prevents us to step on the street and to be run down by a car. So that's not what we're talking about. So we are talking about more anxiety. So that kind of fear which we create through the conceptual mind while we are not in immediate danger. So as human beings, we have this gift and curse, it's both, that we are able to create anxiety and fear through thinking, even if we are not in immediate danger. So that's more the fear we are talking about here. And I would like to look at how to relate to fear or anxiety through the three yanas, the Sutrayana, the Mahayana, and the Vajrayana. Also to share with you that within Buddhism, the attitude and how we relate to so-called challenging emotions or difficult emotions is very different. So obviously I can just give a little introduction, and I choose 3 different techniques from the 3 yanas, which I want to share. And today we start with the Sutra yana, could say the oldest version of the Buddhist teachings. And in the Sutra yana, there's like 2 ways to relate to difficult feelings. One is to apply antidotes. For example, anger, the antidote is loving kindness. But on a deeper level, the liberation from difficult feelings in the Sutayana comes through the insight into no self. That there's no separate, solid, unitary me here in the body-mind complex, which needs to be protected. So in the moment where we have a glimpse or insight, or at least a taste of no self, fear will relax, anxiety will relax, because there's nothing anymore to protect. And the technique I want to share with you today is called the RAIN model, which is a beautiful way to describe Sutrayana practice. And it is a practice which is taught a lot by Tara Brach, but also other insight meditation teachers who practice on the Sutrayana level. And tomorrow, connected with the Mahayana, I want to share a bit about the practice of Tonglen. So in the Sutrayana approach to difficult emotions, afflictions, sometimes even called poison. So the general attitude is that difficult emotions are an enemy and it needs to be overcome. We need to apply antidotes towards them. Whereas in the Mahayana approach, difficult emotions, for example, fear, is being related to in a way so it helps us to open our heart, to soften. So instead of the bad reputation difficult emotion have on the Sutayana level, on the Mahayana level, they are seen as an opportunity to break open the heart, to connect with others, to realize that we are not alone in fear and anxiety. So difficult emotions become the main stepping stone towards genuine compassion, genuine empathy. And in the Tantrayana, that is even more radical, because in the Tantrayana, we see so-called difficult emotions just as movements of energy within the subtle body. And within that movement, there is energy which we can access and use on the path of awakening. So in the Tantrayana, fear and other difficult emotions are not seen as enemies, but as allies. And it is a practice of transformation, not a practice of overcoming something or getting rid of something. But let's start with the Sutrayana. And before I give you a little introduction into the RAIN model, which is recognizing, accepting, investigation, and non-identification. So after our first meditation, I will go through these 4 steps. It's kind of a sequence, at least in the beginning. And in order to teach it, it's good to see it as a sequence. And then towards the end of the session, I will lead a little practice with the RAIN model. since we are not so many, you can interrupt me for questions, or you can also share on the chat if you want to make a, if you want to write a question or say something. But I will also leave some time for question. Yeah, so let's just take 10-15 minutes to settle into the present moment and connect with bodhicitta. So I will guide, but that's not so important. So first thing is we assume the posture. We take our seat right there where we are. And the posture is a good balance between an uprightness, an awakeness, a courage, and tenderness, softness. So both qualities are there. And take a bit of time to really feel into your posture. Even if you are an experienced meditator, it's always good to be curious about the posture. Little changes have an effect. And if you like, you can close your eyes, if that makes it easier for you to connect with your inner life. And take your time to check in. Just noticing your posture, noticing how the surface is carrying you, the surface you sit upon. And allow your awareness, your attention to slide into the body, even down into your feet, into your legs. And then I invite you to bring your breath into the foreground, the flow of the in and out breath. Just lightly, without any effort. And maybe you deepen your in and out breath for a while. Just a little deeper than normal. And then with the in-breath, you slide into the body. Welcoming, as if you are hugging yourself, as if you embrace yourself as a friend. And then with the out breath, softening and opening. And with the in-breath, sliding or dropping. Starting to notice the spacious aliveness in your body. And also noticing where you are tense or tight or tired. And the most important thing is to allow, to give space. And then again, following the out breath into space, into vastness. So you allow the body and the mind, the heart to just settle into the present moment. And we can appreciate that we are breathing together. We're not only here in this group, but we are breathing together in this moment with all breathing beings. And allow thoughts to drift into the background, the inner dialogue. It's not important right now. It probably continues to do its thing, but allow yourself not to listen so much. Try to be curious about present moment awareness. Really noticing that the past is finished, the future has not started yet. Past and future exist only in thoughts. With the in-breath, welcoming, touching gently. And then the out-breath. And then receiving the in-breath again. Notice the aliveness in the breath. And returning in case you get entangled in the inner dialogue. And then I like to remind you that whatever we experience right now, pleasant or unpleasant, is an experience within consciousness, within awareness. Just like a dream in the night is an appearance within the consciousness of the dreamer. So also this moment is an experience within awareness, within consciousness. just like a dream. And appreciate that within this field we are connected from heart to heart as human beings with feelings. Nobody is alone. Give yourself the permission to do nothing. And finding a place of rest in the midst of your experience. Allowing sensation, thoughts, and sounds to come and go. And then I would like to invite the presence of the Buddha and the Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa, into the virtual temple, the virtual gompa of our meeting. And this is like the Eastern morning sun rising after a night of terror, after a cold night. And you allow yourself to bathe in the morning sun with your whole body. If you are a visual person, you can have images of your teachers, of the Buddha. You can hear them. There's even a scent of loving kindness. And allow yourself to be seen and loved. Whatever arises for you, pleasant or unpleasant or neutral, arises within that warmth, that light, that joy. Particularly if there's something heavy or unresolved in your heart, just let it bathe in the warmth of the sun of bodhicitta and wisdom, the loving gaze of the Buddhas. And then you rest. Just as you would rest warming in the sun. And then with the in-breath, bringing the warmth and the kindness into your whole body. And then with the out breath, sharing it. And returning, resting. There's nothing to do, nothing you need to understand, nothing you can do right or wrong. Just bathing, just being here. Present moment awareness. Notice that you want to get something or you want to get rid of something, just soften the grasping, as if you would open a fist. Then the refuge field dissolves. It fills your body, the energy, the light. Every cell of your body opens like a flower in the morning sun. And you become aware of the Buddha within, the Dalai Lama within, the Tara within. And if you're a visual person, you could see a Buddha within your heart, a Dalai Lama in your heart. Breathing gently into the heart area. Just opening like a flower. And the warmth, the joy, the kindness, the healing is spreading from your heart into your body and to the pores of your body into your surroundings, and also here in this group, from heart to heart, from Buddha to Buddha, from Tara to Tara. So allow the Buddha within to look through your eyes, feel through your hands, and also loving yourself from the Buddha within, from the Tara within. And that's why we are here today, to make contact with the Buddha within, with the fearlessness within. To uncover the sun of wisdom and love within the center of our being, our Buddha nature, for the benefit of all. So that we contribute fearlessness, essence love. So we are here to heal, to wake up, to grow up, so that we can show up in the world as a source of essence love for ourselves and others. And then just rest a few minutes more with whatever is present moment awareness. And then if you, in your own time, open your eyes, in case you meditate with closed eyes, and have a sense that the meditation doesn't finish, yeah? So that there's just a continuation of meditation, now including the visual field. And maybe it's possible for you to stay with a felt sense of your body, felt sense of your heart, and allow that tenderness, that love to look through your eyes into the group, into your surroundings. So being aware that you're in a sacred, that you are sitting on a sacred spot. Okay. So while I give a bit of an introduction into the RAIN model, I invite you to stay connected with the felt sense of your body, kind of listening also with your heart, and become aware of how it feels, what I say. So the RAIN model starts with recognizing So the practice of pausing, practice of recognizing what is happening in the present moment. And here, particular, what is happening within the felt sense of your body. So in the first step, in the recognizing, we make ourselves familiar with how fear, how anxiety feels, how it shows up in our life when it is present. This is a counter-instinctual move, because what we usually do, we immediately, instinctively try to avoid anything unpleasant. So when we feel anxiety, the instinctual response is run, get numb, distract, get drunk. So recognizing is slowing down, pausing. What is happening? Where is it happening? Where do I feel it? Becoming curious about anxiety. It's very likely that most of us will experiencing anxiety on and off almost every day for the rest of this life. It's likely because we are humans, we live, we have this body, and it's so deeply ingrained in our genes and into our being that it is probably something which we will experience for the rest of this life. If we really say yes to that, it can be quite a relief. So then the question doesn't become, oh, how do I get rid of this? But since it seems to be an integral part of my experience, and it's likely that I will experience this on and off for the rest of this life, what do I do with it? How do I relate to it? Can I even grow with it? Can I use it? So with the recognizing comes the second, also the acceptance. This is, of course, very important. So recognizing and acceptance is like kind of the same moment. Yeah? In the recognizing, we train ourselves acceptance. So we train ourselves a yes. This is how I feel. In this moment, I feel like that. This recognizing and accepting can be compassionate. So you could, it's like, the self-compassion mudra, you put in your hand on your heart and then saying, this is a difficult moment for me. This is how I feel right now. Yes. Oh, yeah, it's difficult. To bring a bit of a Mahayana approach here would be then also, and I'm not alone with this. So if we talk particularly about the anxiety connected with Corona. And so this is something we all experience together. So tomorrow we will go deeper into this point. But already here there can be a bit of, it's not personal. It's not my fault. It's not because I have done something wrong, or I have had a difficult childhood or something like that. No, it's common, it's shared, it's normal. This accepting, particular of anxiety, is very difficult. I mean, this method also applies to all other challenging emotions, but particular anxiety is so difficult to accept. Initially, there might be only a very little yes, a very timid yes. And we just continue to find a deeper yes, and even a deeper yes. So how deep can your yes be towards, this is a difficult moment. This is a difficult time for me. This is particularly difficult for people who experience anxiety almost all the time, kind of in the background. And we say, yes, we accept because it's what is. Everything else is insane, particularly when we start to understand that what makes an emotion suffering is our resistance to it. So as soon as we start to relax the resistance, there is less suffering. That's something we really need to find out ourselves. How can it be that if I don't try to suppress the anxiety or run away from it and turn towards it, how can that reduce my suffering? So we have to try, experience ourselves. If we really can do that, recognizing and accepting, in that moment, there's space. Just the intensity of anxiety starts to soften. There's another effect here, and that is because in the first step, we emphasize the felt sense of anxiety in the body, the energy of anxiety in the body. So that brings our attention a bit away from the stories. So, and it is the stories which are the fuel on the fire. So less stories, less fuel on the fire. So anxiety will soften in its intensity. This is, of course, also difficult because we take refuge in our thinking. We try to figure things out. We think it's kind of irresponsible not to have these scary thoughts. So the third step then is investigation. So in the Sutrayana, the Vipassana practice, insight meditation practice. So not only recognize and accept, we recognize and accept anxiety, we become curious about it, we investigate into it. And here again, into the felt sense of your body. So we turn our attention to that. We turn our attention to that which actually a big part of us probably doesn't want to look at all. We don't want to touch it. So again, it is counter-instinctual. It's a counter-instinctual move to move towards the anxiety, the felt sense, the energy in your body. And the first insight here is the non-static, permanent, vibrational nature of the energy which we call anxiety. So in the investigation, we try as best as we can to drop all words and really look into what is there. And we try to make our mind curious about that, as if it's just something very fascinating to explore. Where is it in the body? What are the qualities of the sensations? And why is it so difficult to be with this? What makes it so difficult? If we don't make words, is it really harmful to experience this energy? Do I really have any reason to be afraid of that energy? You know, the fear of the fear, the anxiety around anxiety. That's a big problem of that. So if that falls away, then that's already a big freedom, a big relief. So we try to make our mind interested, curious about that energy which we call anxiety. And with the insight into anicca, impermanence, the non-static nature, we notice, oh, this is vibration, it's changing, but also we start to see that it is passing. This too shall pass. This can be a big relief. Not only intellectually knowing, obviously everything passes, so also anxiety and fear, nothing stays, but really experience, to feel it, this too shall pass. And then the investigation leads into the fourth, the non-identification. And here, in the investigation, to kind of make that step into non-identification, there could be a question, and that is the question, what would happen if I would identify less with that anxiety? What would happen if I identify less with anxiety? What would happen if I relax the word mine, my anxiety? If I relax that. What would happen if I see anxiety as something which comes and goes within something which is much bigger? What would happen if I step out of the anxiety into a kind of witness or observer perspective, and you start to see, I'm not my anxiety. I'm aware of it. It is something which is happening and I am aware of it. But I'm much more than that. So anxiety can become so overwhelming when we lose ourselves in it, and the anxiety kind of has the shape of our body, it's the shape of our being, as if there's nothing else. In this kind of contraction into anxiety, we do that with the identification with it. And this is such a beautiful question. And I invite you to try that out. And I will lead a meditation. Just to ask, what would happen if I would identify less with anxiety? And as I said before, this applies to all so-called difficult emotions. What happens if you instead, you're saying, my anxiety, the shared anxiety, our anxiety? Then the fourth step, the non-identification, then is a deepening of that. So a deeper insight into no self and a deeper insight into the insubstantial, dreamlike nature of that phenomenon which we call anxiety. So we investigate into both directions, twofold emptiness, the emptiness of the I and the emptiness of what we are aware of. That both of these things appear, obviously, but they don't have any solid, inherent, self-powered, objective existence. So before I lead the meditation, applying the RAIN model to an anxiety you experience right now in your life, maybe in this present moment, there is a bit of something in the background, but otherwise we can use our conceptual mind to trigger anxiety, which is maybe not the favorite meditation, but it's just to train this method. So maybe there's a question to what I said, comment. Did it make sense? Okay, so then I will lead a meditation. And in this meditation, I will invite you to connect with something you are afraid, something you experience anxiety. And it's recommended that you don't pick the most traumatic situation, because in this practice it is important that we don't overwhelm ourselves. So before practicing rain, it would be good to, to cultivate and to strengthen your capacity to be with difficult feelings, to kind of strengthen the container within which difficult feelings are held, so that it doesn't come to re-traumatizing. And so we're doing the RAIN model not to overwhelm ourselves with something, but to create space so that we can actually be with our feelings without being overwhelmed with that by them. Yeah. So that's why it's so important, the posture, taking refuge, calling the Lama. Yeah, so all these are practices which create a container within which this work can be done without leading into an overwhelm, which then would just re-traumatize the system. It would get worse. So, yeah, so take care. And if it becomes too much, then you just return to your body. Maybe you open your eyes again, stabilize yourself, anchor yourself in the present moment. So really realizing that right now, nothing is threatening you. Right now, in your probably, I, 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 you seem to be all quite fine and not, just there's nothing really dangerous happening right now. So you are safe. That's important, that there's a feeling of that stability. There's the ground around you, the walls around you. You're safe right now. And you have food today, you have water today, you have a bed to sleep. I mean, you are in a good place. Not denying that there's a lot of difficulties happening, but it's not necessary to freak out right now. We could. Well, that's what we can do with stories, with thoughts. I think there was one question. Maybe I can just check that. Yeah, it's the same. So there was the question how to apply this grasping. Yeah, so it's the same. You just recognize, you get to know the energy of grasping, you accept, oh, there's grasping, you identify into the grasping, and you do that step of liberation of non-identification with the grasping. So the method of the RAIN is applicable to all difficult feelings. Anger, desire, grief, everything. Accept, practice, non-identification. And the non-identification, of course, grows our capacity to do that with our deeper understanding of emptiness, of the teachings on emptiness. But for now, the question, what happens if I identify less? Yeah, that's a good entrance into the fourth step. Okay, so let's step into the fire. The Bodhisattva is practicing in the fire. And we assume the posture, and this posture also has a symbolic meaning. So with this posture, we make a commitment to be here and to touch whatever arises without running away. And then maybe you want to close your eyes for this kind of meditation, and it's easier to connect with your inner life, with your body. Allow the breath for a while to deepen a little. Again, sliding or dropping into the felt sense of your body. In particular, the trunk of your body. And with the in-breath, embracing, welcoming the guests in the guest house of the body. And then with the out breaths, letting go, softening. And then appreciating that we are together in the virtual temple of the Buddha, protected by our mentors, protected by the Bodhisattva angels. So, and then I invite you to bring to your mind something which triggers anxiety or fear. Maybe there's already something there in the background, but if not, then bring it to your mind, the situation or the people or yourself. You can keep some attention on the breath as well. And then you become aware of what is happening in your body, in the energy of your body. And if there's not so much, then maybe you can exaggerate or intensify the story. Then where does the anxiety sit in your body? So that is the recognizing. Where does it sit in the body? Maybe it's quite localized, maybe it's more vague. Does it have a shape? Or What is the quality of the sensations? Maybe there's a color. And you keep a healthy distance. So you become intimate, but there is also a bit of a distance. You're looking at, you're aware of. So with the recognizing comes also the accepting. So we are trying to relax into a yes. This is how I feel. And I will feel anxiety on and off for the rest of this life. Yes. I'm a human being with feelings. And part of that is experiencing anxiety. So if it lessens the anxiety, maybe you go back to the story a little, intensify it again, just to become familiar with the energy, really get to know it. There might be resistance or fear, so we make that part of the meditation. Maybe something in you doesn't want to. That's fine. So and then we slide into the third step, the investigation. So we drop the words as best as we can, the mental images. And we notice the bare sensations, the bare energy. What if I wouldn't know that this is anxiety? At one point I learned that this is anxiety, but what if I forget? What is there without words, without stories? And why is it so difficult to be with this energy? Is it really as dangerous as it seems to be? The energy of anxiety, of fear is movements of prana, movements of chi, which is vitality in a certain frequency. And notice the non-static nature. The vibrational nature. And what happens if you drop the word mine or my? If you just call it the energy. And from there, then we slide into the fourth step with the question, what would happen if I would identify less with this energy? What would happen if I would identify less? I'm not my anxiety. I'm not this energy. I am aware of it. And then with the in-breaths, touching gently, holding softly. And bringing kindness and healing to shared anxiety. So, and then with the next in-breath, you bring your awareness to the whole body. Notice that there's much more. Your hands and your feet, your shoulders. So the anxiety is not in the whole body, it's a part. And then you open your awareness even more into your surroundings and into the group. Notice the sounds around you. And if there's still anxiety left, a contraction left, just see that it is just a small part of your experience. Emphasize vastness and space, openness. Or making the residue of anxiety, which you maybe still experience, smaller by putting it into a bigger space. And then you can open your eyes in your own time. Making the field even bigger by the visual experience. While still staying connected with the aliveness in your body. So this was just a little experiment, and well, sometimes not so much is happening. Don't worry about that. It was just an introduction, and if you can see the potential of this practice, you can look it up. There's a few videos with Tara Brach, or also some YouTube videos with me explaining the rain practice. I think it's really a wonderful way to explore the healing power of mindfulness practice. So is there any question or comments? Strengthening the container. Yeah. So this is in any inner work. This is really very important, and in the Buddhist, in the gradual progressive path of Buddhism, it's very important to connect with resources. So in Buddhist practice, before we do the difficult work or do investigate into our inner life, particular approaching the wounds in us, that which is unsolved, we don't jump into it like that, but first we stabilize, we ground, we take refuge, we connect with something which is supportive, and this can be the posture, this can be the ground you're sitting upon, this can be another person. So if you would do this work with a traumatic experience and you do it with another person, then that other person also would start like that, making you feel safe. And there's many different ways to do that. So we can't do this work if we don't have the capacity to be with our inner life without getting overwhelmed. So then we would first to emphasize the practice of creating a container. And here creating a good container, it's that image comes from the practice of alchemy. So the transformative process of alchemy, transforming, in our case, difficult feelings, needs to happen in a safe container, in a vessel, in a safe vessel. Now, those of you who are familiar with tantric practice, you know that in the sadhanas of tantric practice, at least in the highest yoga tantra, you put a lot of emphasis on protector, inviting the protectors, imagining a cage of rajas around you and stuff like that. So all of that is the practice of creating a healthy container. It's very important, also in psychotherapy. Yes, so the it's very likely that any kind of anxiety, any kind of fear we experience has to do with the kind of ground anxiety around death of so yeah, I think it's safe to say that the RAIN model is applicable to anything. Just needs some experimentation or creativity. Is that answering your question, Tali?
Yes.
Yeah.
I hadn't tried this particular approach, so thank you.
Yes. So, as with every meditation practice, also this, we need to familiarize ourselves with this process, kind of memorize it, and do it again and again. And for some people, it's not helpful, but if you get curious about the practice, if you feel, well, there's a potential in it, then play with it. Someone just posted a link to a YouTube video where I talk about the RAIN model. And then in these meditations, in this kind of meditations, what we also get to know is aspects of ourselves which sabotage the meditation. So it's good to be curious about that. Like if you notice in this meditation, for example, you got very tired, bored. Yeah. So that's an aspect of you which is good to get to know. So what's happening? And how can I work with that? Yeah, so then maybe shifting the RAIN model approach to that aspect which is sabotaging a meditation. It could be also restlessness. It could be also kind of rebellious, kind of, no, this is so stupid, I'm not going to do this. It's like, you could be also just a part of you resisting any kind of experimentation, any new thing. Yeah, I'm used to do it differently. Yeah, so these kind of aspects of ourselves, the different team members of our being, they come up in a meditation like that, and it's worth to be curious about them, because they will also probably come up in other meditations. If you do a loving kindness meditation or a gratefulness meditation, then you might start to notice different aspects of you sabotaging the meditation, meaning they don't want to participate, they are afraid, or they want to protect you. So they can be protectors. So in that way, even if the meditation does not work in the sense you expected it, because you had an idea of what this meditation is about, if you take it as a journey where you then can learn some surprising things, maybe not necessarily connected with the meditation itself, but it brings you some insight about your inner life, about the parts of you who resist to engage, the parts who get bored, the parts who gets upset if anyone is messing with your mind through guided meditation. So in a way, one can never fail in this kind of meditations because there's always something happening. Or it could be a part of saying, "Oh, this is so complicated. I don't get it. It goes too fast. It goes too slow." So all these different voices coming up, and that's something that's you. That's your inner life, and it's worth to get to know your inner life and the different aspects of yourself. Then after a while, if you have played a bit with a practice like this, and you find out, no, it's just not my shoe, it's not, then you just leave it. So don't try to kind of put on a straitjacket of a practice which is just not benefiting you, or which is just not your rhythm, it's not your flavor, it's not the way you want to work with your inner life, and then you just leave it. Unfortunately, we have so many practices available within the Tibetan Buddhist tradition that for sure you can find something which makes sense to you, where you feel relief. But try it out, try it for a while, and then you can put it onto the shelf, maybe for later. Yes. Yes, thank you, Elisabeth. Okay, so let's share the positive energy with each other first. Wishing ourselves well and the other people in this group, and then extending these wishes of well-being around us into our world, into our past, present, and future, and into our families. I'm sure there's a lot of anxiety around you, in your family and friends, and in your workplace. And may we all find a way to be with the insecurity of this time and growing with it, becoming kinder people. And also using this time to train our heart for the even more difficult times which are about to come. Training our heart so that we stay kind. Even if times become more turbulent and insecure and things change. Things we relied upon fall away. So may this session be a source for that, a reminder of the quality of our heart, which is what really matters. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephan.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everybody. Just as a reminder, we'll continue tomorrow, same Zoom link. And the US is experiencing daylight savings. So we are going to meet 23 hours after the start of today's session. So in the US, it'll still be like 10:30 New York time, but in Europe, it'll be 1 hour earlier. So like Central European time would be 3:30 p.m., just as a reminder.
So I have to come 3:30?
That is my understanding, unless someone.
That is your, yeah.
Yeah.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will check it on the world clock. Yeah. Okay.
That's what my world clock says. So thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Then it says here probably the same. So we have a shift in the time.
So the
or you?
The US does. So
okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. See you tomorrow.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Stephan.
Thank you.